Mr. Emerson, you've heard what Craig Thompson, no doubt he has had to say this morning. He claims he's been framed. Do you believe him?
It's not really up to politicians to determine these matters. Of course, members of the community will have a view, but the responsibility of politicians is to separate the processes. That is, that there should be legal and investigative processes, they should occur, and politicians shouldn't seek to be part of that. And what's happening in the federal parliament is that Mr Abbott has appointed himself judge and the opposition MPs as jury on the Craig Thompson matter and wants to vote to exclude Mr Thompson from the House of Representatives. This is a very, very dangerous pathway to travel when opposition leaders, members of parliament more generally, appoint themselves as judge and jury over other members of parliament and seek to exclude other members of parliament from the House. Imagine when there's a majority government, the majority government then determining that it doesn't like someone or that there are allegations against someone, and those politicians have the power or seek to exercise the power to exclude others from parliament. This is a very, very dangerous pathway.
But as you well know, politics is much about judgment and character. Do you trust his judgment and his character?
I don't trust Tony Abbott's judgment and character.
No, we're talking about Craig Thompson.
And what I'm saying is that as a politician, it is irresponsible to prejudge these matters by saying that they want to be part of a process of excluding any member of parliament from the House of Representatives. Bear in mind that in the previous parliament there were 3 coalition MPs who were actually investigated by the police. At no time did the Labor opposition believe anything other than both the presumption of innocence and those investigative processes should be allowed to follow their course without interference. That has been Labor's position consistently, and that is now changing with Tony Abbott seeking to appoint himself as judge and opposition MPs as jury in these matters. What I fundamentally believe, and I think that the Australian people should support, is the idea that politicians not make judgments of a legal nature against other politicians. Leave that to the police, leave that to the courts, but once politicians start taking on the role of judge and jury, that is a very dangerous pathway for our democracy.
But I'm simply asking you to comment on his comments this morning and his claims that he was framed. And by
I know
any
what
measure,
the question is, and I keep answering the question by saying I'm a politician, I'm a member of parliament, and I'm a minister, and I am going to allow Mr Thompson the presumption of innocence, like every Australian is allowed. I'm also going to say to you that the investigative processes should continue. Mr Thompson has been charged with nothing. And yet we have underway, if the coalition got its way, a process to exclude him from the House of Representatives, which means that those 80, 90, 100,000 members of the community in the seat of Dobell would not have a voice in Parliament. I'm saying that is a very direct threat to our democratic processes, and it's not for me to be judge and jury on Mr Thompson. I will not do that. It is irresponsible to do that. The community may form a view one way or the other. That's up to members of the public. But when politicians start saying, I have decided that Mr Thompson is guilty, then that is a very dangerous path because there are no charges. Let the investigative processes continue and come to a conclusion.
Why haven't we heard this defence from Craig Thompson until now?
Well, I think he took this opportunity, given that he will be making a full statement to the Parliament upon its return on Monday week. And I think at the outset he was considering whether he should be making such a statement. Then it became clear that the Fair Work investigation was going on and on and on. No doubt, it's quite possible anyway, that Mr Thompson believed it would be better then to wait for that Fair Work Australia report to emerge. That Fair Work Australia report has emerged. It doesn't actually involve recommendations of criminal charges as far as I know. It's a civil matter. There are police investigations, and for goodness sake, let's not have politicians interfere in police investigations, appoint themselves as judge and jury, because that way lies madness. That way lies a very real threat to our democratic system here in Australia.